Hello, 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 and welcome to TC Island Live. I am TC,
And I am Shelly.
and welcome. We have great guests for you tonight. We're going to be talking about power couples with the one and only Curtis and Kinah. And let me tell you, they are a power couple indeed, a kingdom power couple. We've been friends for quite some time now, and they have been doing some great things in business, also within ministry too, as well. What you think?
Oh, yes, this is a power couple.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to you hear their stories. It's going to blow you away. So amazing.
Yes, can't wait to hear these guys. And we're going to talk about how couples can come together and do some great things, not only in ministry, but also in business. So stick with us. I want you to like, tag, and share tonight. And make sure that you tell somebody to come in and watch us on Facebook, Instagram, and also on YouTube. Don't miss this. This is going to be big. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Are you suffering from fear and anxiety? The Allen Counseling Clinic is here to help. Our goal is to help you grow from your struggles, heal from your pain, overcome your fears, and get the relief from your anxiety. Call now, area code 424-295-6227. Telehealth is now available.
Kid old enough for money but too young to deal with a checking account? Oh, and you don't really want to deal with cash? You need the Cube Kid Card. Reload right from your bank account, set parameters, and spend just like a normal debit card. If the card is lost, no problem. Without the app, the balance is zero. Get yours at cubemoney.io.
The formula of the best business in the world is three things. You may want to write them down because it's going to help you completely in your thinking of business. Three things. Number one, you got to be able to say, one, I'm helping others. Because if you don't add value to others and help others, it's going to show right away. Nobody's going to want to come in with you. It's just, if there is no value for others, they're not buying it. Number two, I'm having fun. What is having fun? That means I'm growing, I'm contributing. So if you're growing, that means you have profit, right? Contributing, you're helping others. And number three, and I'm making a profit. Think about it. If you're just making money, but you're not having fun. If you're making money and helping others, but not having fun, sooner or later you're going to say, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm just tired. I'm just feeling like I'm giving and giving and giving. You start complaining. What if you're having fun, you're helping others, but you're not making money? You guys say, what the heck is going on with this? I'm working too hard. This is like brokers. A lot of brokers, real estate agents do that. It's just, they have fun in the beginning. They feel they're learning, growing. But then at the end of the day, they say, I'm helping so many people make money and I'm not making enough. How fair is that? What if you're having fun, having profit, but you're not helping others? They will revolt against you sooner or later. So this is the perfect formula. It couldn't be any simpler.
Family, is yours truly, Dr. Eddie. Listen, it's official like a referee with a whistle. My new book, Relationship Rules, is everywhere, y'all. And I'm empowering you to build healthy relationships, but also purposeful partnerships. You can do that. I want to show you how to do that simply by going to Amazon. Go to Barnes & Noble. Go to dreddieacademy.com/book to get a signed copy. I'm empowering you to win in the areas of love, leadership, and leveraging your purpose. It's all about the book Relationship Rules, because relationship rules.
Everyone has a purpose. Everyone has an assignment on their life. And if you know that assignment is pushing you towards entrepreneurship, there are things that you need to know as a believer.
We want to see people rise up and walk into their potential. And I just honestly believe that a lot of people just don't know.
We want to give it to you full circle. We want to give it to you the good, the bad, the ugly, and the principles and the keys that will help you unlock that success so that, you know, you can do the things that God just wants you to do.
So Kinah and I are committed to virtually mentoring. And I'll say virtually because we can't literally mentor all of you guys individually one-on-one. But we're going to virtually mentor you guys until change comes.
And some of these things that we've done, guys, we've done them with knees shaking, scared, you know, and having to overcome that spirit of fear and operate in this remarkable faith. And God comes through every time.
But you need to get education from folks who've been where you want to go.
And welcome our guests, Curtis and Kinah. Listen, thank you all for being on the show. We had an awesome time last time. We had to have you back on the show this time.
We're glad to be here.
We're excited. Thank you for having us back. We have been looking forward to this. We have a lot that we, you know, want to share. So thank you for inviting us back.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, I want you first of all, to give us some background about yourselves so that people can know who you are, and then we'll go from there.
I'll let you start first.
Well, my name is Kinah Merriweather. Everybody knows me by Kinah, and on social media, everybody knows me as the retail boss. And I am a beauty entrepreneur. Started off in the beauty industry from the age of 16, and I've been doing this thing a very long time. And I found myself in the seat of entrepreneurship. And throughout my journey, meeting Curtis, and the two of us came together, and we have made some tremendous things happen in the beauty industry. And I'm excited to tell that journey, because I wouldn't be where I am right now in this moment with the things that I am doing as a beauty entrepreneur, just pushing for the kingdom's agenda. I would not be where I am right now without coming together with my amazing husband. He's so smart, and he's just super gifted in entrepreneurship. So we literally make things happen together now. So yeah, we're doing power couple stuff.
Well, you know, most folks, I think, know me from the entrepreneurial GovCon world, which is the world in which I play. And, you know, I've been in this space for quite some time.
Right.
And we've made a few dollars. Made my first million at 31. Doing government contracting. And now Kinah and I have taken on a serial entrepreneurial venture. And, you know, one of the things that we're super passionate about is raising up 1,000 entrepreneurs based on kingdom-based biblical principles. Now, we recognize everyone doesn't believe and move the way we do. However, the manuscript has already been written in the scriptures. And so we're teaching people, whether saved or not. Of course, we want them to find Christ, but saved or not, we're showing them how to implement biblical principles to dominate in their spheres of influence.
That's powerful. Absolutely powerful. Listen, how did you guys come together? And tell us about the early years of your marriage.
You can put it on me, okay, Kinah?
Yeah.
So I don't know how many people know this, TC, but you know, I was married for 10 years. I was with the same woman for 11, and in 2014, she left here after losing a cancer battle. And so, you know, the way Kinah and I met was interesting. We used to go to the same church. We had never said anything to each other. You know, we would pass each other, and I might throw my hand up or vice versa, but we never even had a conversation. And I remember when my wife passed away, I specifically didn't want to meet anyone in my zip code. I had developed a little bit of a reputation, a little bit of micro influence. And so it was very important to me that whoever I dated was dating me for who I am and not for who they thought I was or what I brought to the table. So we actually were introduced by a mutual friend. I did eventually start back dating. We can have a whole conversation about did I grieve properly and all that good stuff. But, you know, I eventually did start back dating. And in that dating process, a mutual friend of both Kinah and I I didn't even know this mutual friend knew Kinah. Said, hey, you're not having a whole bunch of success in the dating realm, and I was not. I want you to at least have a conversation with Kinah. And she reminded me of who Kinah was.
Now,
Long story
I
short.
gotta stop you right there. You said you wouldn't have much success in the dating. I thought you told me you was a G. That's what you told me.
Let me say this. I didn't have a problem finding women who wanted to date me. I had a problem finding quality women that was going to push me to purpose.
Amen.
So that's why it was unsuccessful. If you have, I always tell my kids, money's the equalizer. You go in, I won't call any names in the program, but we look at some couples in Hollywood who are not as attractive, and you look at the woman they're with, money equalizes things. So what I was concerned about was finding someone that really was going to love me and my children for me. And here was the challenge. You will often find people who want to be with you for whatever reason,
Right.
but are they willing to take your kids on? So when I started dating Kinah, before we got super, I felt like we were going somewhere. I finally introduced her to my kids. And so that was the barometer. If this relationship is really going to last, how is this interaction with the kids going to be? Because I was dating one young lady who had all of the quote unquote trimmings of success. And my kids, you know your kids' vibe. They was like, we only here because my daddy. Because my daddy like.
She ain't the one. But
absolutely.
I was talking to my my friend about this the other day. How important is it to choose purpose over paper?
Oh, absolutely. All day, twice on Sunday. It's extremely important. I think oftentimes, me and you had a conversation, and I've taken TC's definition of success. It's finding your purpose, maximizing your potential, and providing the best blessing or benefit to other people. So money comes and go. If you made a couple dollars, you have ups and downs and ebbs and flows. But purpose is resounding. Purpose stands. Purpose is consistent. Regardless of what's happening in your life, purpose will stand, even when the money may look funny or the money is long. Why are you doing what you're doing? And one of the wealth keys that we always talk about is the rich don't work for money. They work for purpose. They work for benefit of other people.
Right.
So I think when you put when you prioritize correctly, it is easy to get, as the young people say, get to the bag. However, if you're chasing money, you're going to be tossed to and fro because you're going to be chasing whatever the next shiny object is that you think is going to get you the wealth that you seek. And most of the time, it's an illusion. What worked for this person may not work for you, especially if the motivation for doing it is different.
So you saying to me that you didn't choose her because she had a lot of paper. You chose her because she complements your purpose.
Absolutely. And sometimes, it's easier to find someone that's attractive. It's harder to find someone that's going to connect to your purpose.
That's good.
Absolutely.
That's good. What did you say when you met him, Kinah? Did he complement your purpose, or you saw him for his handsome self?
Well, it was more so about the connection more than anything. I remember the first conversation that we had. We talked a lot about our faith in God. We talked a lot about the ministry that we were both involved in. Some of the things that we experienced, and how we were able to move past those things. What we wanted in the future. And how God viewed us and what we were purposed to do. So a lot of our conversation was faith based, and I know that's probably strange. Right. And that, to me, it was like almost a sign or something, like, okay, this is definitely different, because anyone else that I dated prior to that, I felt like I had to not so much compromise, but it was like when I would have these conversations, they couldn't relate. They couldn't relate to the different things and how God operates in you as an individual in terms of like spiritual giftings and things like that. They couldn't relate. So the conversations would always be very one-sided, and with Curtis it was different for me, and Curtis was different for me in a lot of ways. I almost missed the boat.
So you telling me Curtis is saved for real? That's what you're telling me. Because you said the other guys could relate spiritually, but you said Curtis is saved for real. Now I need to park right there for a minute, because a lot of women, they look for the bag and they look for everything else, but you were looking for a man who was saved.
Yes.
I was, and I was on a different path. I was working on myself. I was in a space with God. I was like, hey, if I end up by myself and that's your will for me, then that's fine. I was kind of just pretty much over it. So the conversation that we had, we were able to relate on so many different levels, relate on the business tip. There was just so many similarities. So it was easy. The conversation was easy. And it wasn't forced. It felt very natural. The vibes were very natural. And that is what attracted me to him more than anything. I knew about some level of his success. I didn't know a lot about that. I knew a little bit about it, only because of, some exposure and things like that. But for the most part, that wasn't my focus. And I think he could tell within the conversation that wasn't a thing for me.
Right. You had mentioned that you almost missed the boat. What do you mean by that?
I did. I almost missed the boat because I was used to looking for a certain thing, and I had this list as a woman. I had this list. These are all the requirements that I'm looking for, and I'm checking them off. And there was some things that were just different, and I was like, man, I got to move past this list because first of all, the guy gave me this list. Or was this just all me? Was this just all soulish? Was this all flesh? Was this of my own thinking? Because some of the stuff on this list didn't even come from God. It was just my own thing. You know what I'm saying? And so when I began to analyze his fruit, because I remember God brought back to my remembrance when I would see him in church in passing with his family, with his children, the Lord reminded me, hey, he has good fruit. That's my son. I need you to give this an opportunity. And not to make it super deep or super spiritual, whatever, but it was a turning in my spirit when I was like, I said to myself, I got to give this opportunity a chance. Let me see what's going to happen here. Like, Lord, I don't think this is by chance. Right. And it grew into a great friendship. We established friendship before we established anything else.
Awesome. I love the fact, Kinah, that you had mentioned about the list. There are so many women that I have counseled that brings the list. So let's just have fun with this list. So I give them homework assignments and tell them now it's maybe 50 things. So I said, first session, when you come back, cut it to 10. They freak out. So they said, this was a hard challenge. So when they come back, now cut it to 5. And they're like, Miss Shirley, what are you doing? When they come back, now cut it to 3. And after that next session, I tore it up. And I was like, what are you doing? How am I going to function? But that list hinders a lot of women. A lot of women. So I'm glad you said that. Thank you for sharing that part.
Yes, you're welcome. It's true. Yes. We do that. We do.
Now, when it comes to business, I know my brother. We have been engaging in business for the past month now, and he is absolutely, hands down, awesome. And where did you get your business acumen from?
That's a great question. My father's a pastor, so there's somewhat entrepreneurial flair there. I had a conversation with my grandfather. My grandfather does not have a bunch of education. My grandfather is very entrepreneurial. I won't say what he does or what he did. It probably was, by many people's standard, it wasn't legal. But however, that's entrepreneurship. So he didn't know how to express it. He grew up in a very depressed times. Times were a lot different. He never even graduated from high school. I think he had an 8th grade education. And so he literally put his family on his back. So I remember after my spouse passing away, I went through my own internal, question answering session. And I remember calling my dad and saying, I want to go talk to my grandfather because he doesn't stay close to where we stay. He said, okay. So he called him and we set it up. And I started asking him. I was trying to figure out how I take it. I started asking myself, where did this come from? And, I've always been attracted to the gangster movies and all that stuff because I saw, although they were on the other side of the law, I saw the entrepreneurship in it. And so I think it comes through my genes. It's in our family. And then of course I went.
Wait a minute, stop right there. So you saying you learned business from ghosts, from
I love that show, by the way. I'm not saying I love it.
The Godfather.
I knew you loved the show.
I love the show. But what I'm saying is, I think sometimes entrepreneurship expresses itself in different ways.
Yes.
And when I got older, I'm not the guy who started the fruit stand in high school. I'm not that person. But I remember, getting out of college, trying to find network marketing. That entrepreneurship was trying to express itself.
Yeah.
And oftentimes the only way we know how to express entrepreneurship is through network marketing, or some of these cleaning business that you can kind of buy into for $200-300. So when I remember doing a couple of them, I was really good at it. I was really good. And it wasn't until I didn't make no money, but in terms of signing people up and convincing people to do things was crazy. And so it wasn't until I met a gentleman who told me, you can do what I do. I met my first real live millionaire like 27, 28. And he actually was the first model of what a millionaire was. I never forget the time he was trying to get a contract with the agency I was working for. We ended up helping him. It was a small order, less than $50,000. But over time, we developed a relationship. And this gentleman would literally spend time with me and impart in me and teach me things. And I eventually decided I wanted to be an entrepreneur. He gave me a model because I didn't know what that looked like. Again, my father was a pastor, but that didn't look like entrepreneurship to me. But that's because I just was naive. I saw this, the preaching and teaching. I didn't see the business side of it. So I never associated entrepreneurship with ministry. But it was when I met this gentleman, and this gentleman was an entrepreneur, and I saw him doing things in the church, wasn't getting paid. That was the first time I think I was able to attach entrepreneurship and ministry. I never wanted to do ministry the traditional way in terms of getting up on Sunday and Wednesday preaching. But I saw him doing ministry by his giving, by serving, and not needing to be supported by the ministry, but being support. So that gentleman played a very monumental role in my life. And I remember the deciding day, we were in the mall in the state in which I was residing at that time. And we were in the mall shopping. And he went to the ATM this particular day. And he had spent all the money he had in cash because he liked elaborate things. He having a field day in the mall. I had never seen anyone do this in my life at that point. He goes to the ATM and he pulls out his ATM card and he pulls out a receipt. Why he did this, I don't know, other than maybe God inspired him. He hands it to me. And I looked at the account. It was, and I don't want to exaggerate numbers, but there was at least $200 and some odd $1,000 in that account. And he looks at me and says, "Little brother, this is just one of my accounts. You're smarter than me. I don't even have a college degree.
Wow.
If I can do this, you can do this."
Wow.
And it sparked something on the inside of me.
Yes.
Wow. Powerful.
Yes.
Kinah, what's your business story? How did you get involved in business?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Never thought that I would go into the beauty industry or cosmetology industry. I actually was going to go to FIT in New York, and I was going to study fashion, and that was going to be my gig. But, I ended up in a situation to where I went into a cosmetology program to be a model. And I said, wow, I can make some money and work my way through school doing this. And I was already gifted in my hands anyway, because I would do my friends and, do makeup and all that. And I had this God-given gift. I was never trained to do this thing. And so I decided I was going to change up my career path and go to Dudley Cosmetology University in Kernersville, North Carolina. And I had the opportunity to get in a mentorship program with Mr. Dudley himself. I had no idea God was setting me up the whole time. And I got chosen to be a part of this mentorship program. I was one of the leaders at the school. I was, in the instructor training program to be a teacher, an educator. And I got chosen to be in this mentorship program. And we had to get up Tuesday and Thursday mornings, put on these blue suits, and we had to walk the grounds with Mr. Dudley at 5 o'clock in the morning before the sun even came up. And in those meetings, when we would just be walking the grounds, he would always pray, start off in prayer, and then he would begin to prophesy to the ground. Then he would look at the school, and he would look at the home office, and he would prophesy to the home office, and that the school would always be full. And then he began to speak words into all of us. And he showed us, how to use the word of God to be able to manifest what you want to happen, on the earth, and how we're supposed to understand who we are and live as kings and queens. And I remember him having a conversation with me one day, and he spoke into my life, and he said, one day, daughter, you're going to have your own school. And he just began to prophesy and speak into my spirit. He said, one day you're going to teach the world of cosmetology. Everything that I'm teaching you, you're going to be able to teach this to somebody else. I had no idea what he was imparting in me. And he took us in that home office, and he made everybody put on gloves and a little bonnet. And we got on the assembly line, and we started screwing on caps of these on top of a product called Scout Special. If you know anything about Dudley products, you know about Scout Special. And we all in this line in our blue suits with everybody else in there working. He lined us up on the assembly line and had us screwing on these tops while he was talking to us, because in that moment he wanted us to always remember, don't ever discount the people that are working for you, because what they are doing and what you have done as an entrepreneur, you can still get down and dirty with everybody else that's working for you. Always be humble. Always be humble before the people that are working for you, because this could be gone tomorrow. Right. So you always have to remember where you come from. So we're in there working, and he's just, he talked to us about business, about money, about how to form relationships and partnerships. And here I am. I'm this young 19-year-old girl. I'm the youngest in this group, and it's all men. It's just me and this one other girl. And to be a part of that, it just changed my life. It changed my world, changed everything about how I thought about business as a beauty industry professional. And I carried that with me throughout my entire career. Taught for some of the big name schools, Paul Mitchell's, and opened a full service salon, and traveled all around the world teaching and educating. So for me, when I really got into honing in on what my purpose was in teaching what God wanted me to teach, and that was the business education. But it all started way back then. So it literally, this seed produced itself over time, and God was in the middle of all of that. I thought I was going to school in New York, and I ended up in little old Kernersville, North Carolina.
That's an amazing story, and I love the fact that you had a mentor who poured into you at the age of 19, and the best part about that is that you just didn't discount what he was pouring into you. Right. You held on to that. So I love that part. Because anyone was like, oh, you're just crazy. You know what you're talking about. But you was like, no. I may not can see it, but I believe that it shall prosper. It shall flourish. So, amazing. I love that story.
Thank you.
Now going from that, going from that start to where you are now, did you see where you are now back then?
No.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all.
No.
It's mind blowing. And Kinah and I have gotten prophetic word after prophetic word after prophetic word about business and businesses, and actually watching that come to pass. I'm the guy from Augusta, Georgia, who was on free and reduced lunch. You wouldn't have thought that I would be running a multi-million-dollar company. And then I remember when I started, I was so much younger than everyone else. And they would tell me, like, dude, you got like 10, you started this like 10 years ahead of me. And I didn't realize how much of an advantage that provided. Now, of course, I made my mistakes just like everyone else.
Right.
I talked about, having that $160,000 payroll and only having 80,000, and having to trust God every step of the way.
God.
How am I make this pay? There's no one you can call and say, hey, you got $80,000? I didn't know anyone. The bank, of course, doesn't loan you money until it loans you money when you don't need it. If you need money from the bank at that time, you're not going to get it. So it was that taught me the reason for forecasting and trying to foresee when you're going to need money and understanding the times and seasons. And, it was some of those lessons that were not fun, but provided me a strong foundation that I now teach other people based on, the hard knocks, going through it, praying, asking God for wisdom. Sometimes we just don't know what to do, but learning how to live from the inside out to to make your way prosperous. I'm reminded of Joshua 1:9 that talks about meditating the word. And one of the words for meditation is imagination. So learning how to use your imagination to make your way prosperous. I think oftentimes as believers, we put a lot of responsibility on God and the Holy Spirit, which I believe in, but it's us. We have to do it. And I think
We got to do the work.
We got to do the work.
Right.
we got to do work.
Right.
And oftentimes, we say things like, success knocks, it doesn't. Success is in the corner quietly, waiting to be noticed. And then when we do notice it, it has work clothes on. So that's what keeps us out of our God-given potential because it requires work on our part.
That's it.
Absolutely.
How important is it to keep God first and not the business first, but keep God first and then the business and everything, and well, not the business, but your family and then the business, everything else follows. How important is that?
It's key. I mean, these businesses will drive you crazy, literally. The more employees you got, the more challenge you have. There's a lot of pressure on you, and a lot of business owners literally find themselves in a mental health crisis because of all of the pressure. In today's day and age, we've made it very glamorous. Entrepreneurship can be very lonely. So it is necessary that we have a relationship with God, who keeps us grounded, and helps us problem solve. Our biggest thing is to solve problems.
I didn't hear you. You went out a little bit there.
He who solves problems gets paid. So we have to problem solve.
That's good. That's good.
Absolutely.
I say all the time when I'm teaching leadership, you're created to solve a problem.
Yes.
And it's one thing to just want to sit there and have no problems at all, but God created you to solve a problem in the earth, and so you are the answer to someone's problem. Your destiny, your purpose is to be in the earth as God used it as a conduit for His glory to solve problems in the earth. There is no problem that exists today that God hasn't provided an answer for. And that
Absolutely.
answer comes through us as the vessel. I want you guys to say, to hold on real quick. We got to take a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to get into some more stuff. But stay with us. And listen, guys, text someone, email somebody. Tonight is a great night for you to tune in to TC Allen Live with our guests Curtis and Kinah. Listen, these two are a power couple, kingdom power couple, and we're going to get into some things in a minute. They're going to show you what they did in their business that excelled them to the next level. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Kid old enough for money but too young to deal with a checking account? Oh, and you don't really want to deal with cash? You need the Cube Kid Card. Reload right from your bank account, set parameters, and spend just like a normal debit card. If the card is lost, no problem. Without the app, the balance is zero. Get yours at cubemoney.io.
Hey family, it's yours truly, Dr. Eddie. Listen, it's official like a referee with a whistle. My new book, Relationship Rules, is everywhere, y'all. And I'm empowering you to build healthy relationships, but also purposeful partnerships. You can do that. I want to show you how to do that simply by going to Amazon. Go to Barnes & Noble. Go to dreddieacademy.com/book to get a signed copy. I'm empowering you to win in the areas of love, leadership, and leveraging your purpose. It's all about the book, Relationship Rules, because relationship rules.
Start flipping assets. What are the best assets to flip? Needless to say, residential real estate. You focus on the market, find the values, find the opportunities to get properties below market. You got credit lines, you got some savings, use it. Get a property below value, flip it as quickly as you can, right after you rehab it, any way you can. That's going to build your cash reserves. As soon as you flip properties, the next step, learn how to reduce taxes. There are ways to use structures and jurisdictions like what I've done with Puerto Rico to reduce your taxes tremendously. That's going to be the biggest push in your life. It's going to lead you into the next step which is going to be buy and hold. That's when you get properties at market value or slightly below, bring in a tenant, increase the value. That's going to take you to another level completely, because now you're holding for income stream. All your work has residual value. Your life takes another level.
Are you suffering from fear and anxiety? The Allen Counseling Clinic is here to help. Our goal is to help you grow from your struggles, heal from your pain, overcome your fears, and get the relief from your anxiety. Call now. Area code 424-295-6227. Telehealth is now available.
All entrepreneurs, our job is to serve. Our job is to serve.
Right.
So if we go and we look at the life of Jesus, who should be our example for how we should operate as citizens in the earth, he was washing people's feet, which is a form of servanthood. The King of Kings, the King of the Jews, God wrapped in human flesh, was running around here washing people's feet. But yet you're starting a business, and the business is all about you. That's the wrong motive.
And we're back. And listen, we have the power couple, Curtis and Kinah. I want to talk about that right there, because as a power couple, it's not about you. We cultivate each other's gifts, purpose, and come together and help each other. And so tell us about, as a husband, how do you help your wife in business?
Wow, that's an amazing question. And I'm going to tell you why. I put some of my things on hold, meaning I put them on autopilot to move Kinah's vision forward. And I think oftentimes today we find couples that are ultra competitive, and it's your stuff versus my stuff, but it's the same household, same accounts.
Same.
You know, I am no less because Kinah shines. So in the early phases of our relationship, I really moved Kinah forward. She was launching a new brand, you know, some things she wanted to do. I believe that God was birthing on the inside of her. And so God told me for a season, I need you to kind of make this about her, push her stuff forward. And so I would go and, you know, we were talking recently. I would go on tour with her, and I would carry her bags. I'd be like, hey, I'll be your PPA for the day.
That's right.
I'm going to help set the tables up. I'm going to go out here and sell these products. We bought some bundles. She said, I can flip these bundles. We bought the bundles. She was making hair. I did whatever I needed to do. Now, this is a new space to me. I knew nothing about cosmetology prior to meeting Kinah. I'm a government contractor. That's what I know. We can talk about technology, IT, language. That was my world. So now I'm in a new world where I had to first become a student, because I didn't know nothing about this world. B, I had to now start coming up with helping develop strategies. And I normally play in the B2B and the B2G world, so business to business and business to government. But now I'm in this B2C world, business to customer. So I had to also invest in my own personal education so I can be of help. I jumped all in, and I took ownership of what she was interested in. Until she got to the point where she could move forward.
That's powerful, because it's the same thing here. I sacrificed some things so I could focus on her, the business that we created together. And she's a therapist, and we created this business a while ago. But I need to focus on, you know, building it up and building her up and making sure that she's moving forward in her dream and her vision. Because by no means, as a husband, do you want to get to a point in life where she's not fulfilled in her dream and her vision that complements yours. And so I want to make sure that she was built up in every area to accomplish her dreams. And so that was a sacrifice. Things had to, for me, had to shut down while I focused on her and focus on the business and focus on scaling it and focus on different things. And God has done some awesome things, not only in the business, but also between us two as well.
Yes, absolutely. So, Kinah, when your husband took that step back and he was pouring into you, were you receptive? Were you like, yes? Or were you like, hold up, let's just pause for a second? How did you take that?
Listen, I was super receptive because I was looking for my knight in shining armor to come rescue me anyway. So I mean, just to have someone to be able to, one, understand who you are, what you do, and see the passion that lied behind what I was doing. Curtis was really able to help cultivate the other missing pieces that I just didn't know anything about.
Right.
And what I can tell you is throughout the process. Now it wasn't peaches and cream, okay? Because sometimes he had to tell me some things that really hurt my feelings that I was doing wrong. And honestly, launching out, starting my own brand, I walked away from the beauty schools, which were, always calling for me, wanting me to work with them. I walked away from some big name brands that I would travel and teach at the hair shows, the big hair shows, on stages. I walked away from that. And I also walked away from my salon. And when I started doing these things, Curtis was like, "Are you sure you heard God?" And I'm like, "Yes, I did." And he was like, in that last phase of, which was walking away from the school, which was the last phase, he was like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "I'm sure." He said, "You're gonna have some dark days. You're gonna shed some tears. You're gonna bruise your knee. But I need you to know, if God told you to do this, you're gonna make it. You're gonna be all right." And I'm there every step of the way. And those things happened. And it's amazing because throughout the process, it's like God kept everybody out, and it was only me and him. So when people saw me moving, they saw him. Everywhere I went, they were like, "Dang, Kurt be with you everywhere." So now the beauty industry knows Kurt. You know what I'm saying? And they know what Kurt has to offer now, because I also allowed him in those moments to share his input from the business side outside of the beauty industry. So after a while, people were like, "Oh, y'all teaching together?" And I'm like, "Yep, we sure are. Come on, baby, let's go."
That's right.
So it turned into a dynamic duo, and that's what God wanted for me the whole time. I always knew that I was supposed to be with someone and be have that power couple thing going on, but it never matched up with all the people that I dated. Was always something. It never panned out. So as this thing started happening naturally, it's not like I was looking for it. I didn't ask God for it. I just always knew that's who I was. I was supposed to have a powerful man next to me. We supposed to do big things on earth for the kingdom.
Amen.
Amen.
But I think Kinah said something. I want to make sure we hone in on that. We have glamorized entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And even if we're believing God and in faith, I think we oftentimes go into entrepreneurship with lofty expectations. If it don't happen as quick as I thought, man, it's don't work. God. And so I asked Kinah, was she sure, about 4 times. She probably was like, "Why are you asking me this?" And I finally told her, I said, "Hey, I know God spoke to you. I believe what you're saying is true, but I need you to understand it's a process. And this process don't always feel good. So I don't need you throwing the towel in the moment that it doesn't go the way you think it was supposed to go. It still mean God in it, but you got to work this thing. Some people are not going to accept you right away. Right. The money might not come in as fast. So are you committed? Are you committed because this is what you think? Or are you committed because this is God? Because if it's really God, you'll stay with it, regardless of what happens. If it's a nice flighting imagination, the moment it gets hard, you're going to walk away and you're going to abort your purpose.
That's powerful, because we know ministry starts at home. A lot of times we want to go out into the world and minister to everybody else, but ministry starts at home. And so you took the time out to minister to your wife and coach her through the process. And when I say, wait a minute, guys, you stay tuned in, because this ain't the end of it. Trust me, you're going to hear something that's going to absolutely blow your mind. So, Curtis, how did you take a step back and say, "Lord, I'm gonna coach my wife, I'm gonna help my wife, and make sure she is where she needs to be," getting in the way in your own way, without being a macho man or a man of ego, and say, I need to spend this time with my wife to build her up as we build together? Was that difficult for you?
It was a challenge for me initially.
Okay.
Because you got to remember, I had a certain level of success.
Right.
And so, God help Kinah. Kinah's not making what I make. That's what I was saying. I'm being honest. That's what I was saying. I need to focus on this, because this is what brings in the money. And God was like, no. Put your stuff on autopilot, and I need you to help her. But now when I sit back, here it is, we've been together almost 5 years. When I sit back and I look at when Kinah stands up in front of these large audiences and she's on demand to guest speak, and when she opens her mouth, I hear me. That's what gives me comfort. At that time was well spent.
Hey Doc, she always stealing your stuff, ain't she?
Yeah, I be stealing the stuff. Yes.
I would hear that.
I have to admit, I do too. It's our stuff, right? Kinah?
Right, it's ours. Yeah.
Our stuff.
I was listening to her the other day, and she was just going on. She was in a row, and she hit about 3 different three different quotes, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to come get my stuff back. Something.
I told you, I need an invoice. I need an invoice.
But no, it makes me. You know what? I'm fulfilled by seeing my wife fulfilled.
Yes.
As a pastor, coach, speaker, I always got fulfilled by seeing other people helped and move on with their life and get information that they need. But when it comes to your family and you're seeing them built up, I'm fulfilled by seeing her fulfilled and moving forward in her vision, her dream.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes my heart good. So whatever she steals from me is hers anyway, huh?
Absolutely.
So tell me, what does power couple mean to you?
That's a great question. I think I want to hear you.
For both of y'all. What does power couple mean to you? Seriously. We hear that term all the time.
All the time.
Thrown out in society, social media, whatever case is. But what does that mean to you?
Well, what it means to me is fulfilling, God's purpose for whatever God's purpose is for you as a couple. And you come together and you ask God, what is it that you want us to do? We have been in that space to where we're like, God, what do you want us to do? Everything looks funky. Everything that I know is either on pause or is no longer working. So what is it that you want us to do as a collective? Because I can't move forward by myself. And so what power couple means to me is really understanding who you are as a couple, understanding your purpose as a couple, and moving forward in success together. Because being separated, this person's successful doing his thing, he's success, not being on one accord will not allow you to fulfill God's purpose on the earth. And it's funny because I tell Curtis all the time, bring me some of them deposits. And he'd be like, why you keep trying to use me? And I said, listen, I need you to understand, every time we come together as a couple, everything that's on the inside of you, you're depositing on the inside of me, and it makes me even more effective. I mean, I could just feel like I could fly and soar. I could take his cape and put it on, and I could go ham just like he can. Because Curtis is a powerful speaker.
Yes.
So me before meeting Curtis, being on stages, traveling, speaking in front of hundreds of people and all that, I never had that issue. But when you come up with somebody like this, I had to learn, don't come up against him, come up with him.
With him.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
So as a power couple, that's what we do. He allows me to feed off of him. I feed off of he feeds off of me. And so often now we hear the terms energy, and manifesting. And how I take that as a power couple, the energy that we have, it comes from the Holy Spirit. I can feel him now in this space where you are, where I am. And when the Holy Spirit comes in, that thing, and he bounces from his heart to my heart, and it's just a bounce and back and forth type of thing going on. And before we know it, we are in full-fledged ministry talking about business and understanding that's the area of ministry for us, not for you to be what everybody else is, the average, pastor couples that you see. No, this area for you in ministry is business.
Right.
And that flow that we have, that Holy Spirit allowing that energy to flow back and forth between us, it allows us to just give everything from the kingdom perspective. We get rid of ourselves and we allow God to just come in the situation and speak through us because we are his instruments. And that really allows us to push forward. And in terms of the manifestation, we can't manifest nothing on this earth without God.
That's right.
And he
That's
allows
right.
us to use our mouths to speak on his behalf to his people. And when people are sitting in these audiences and they're taking on deposits of things that we're saying, now the seed has been planted and placed, and then the Lord will allow the manifestation to come into fruition, over time, of these people continuing to pull on us. And, we started doing mentoring. Like, God just started allowing us to get into these spaces where couples are wanting mentorship in business now.
Yeah.
Because this is a thing. We didn't know COVID made a lot of people become entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
And now, people are realizing like, oh, this is a thing, and we need to learn how to work together to make this thing work, to make this thing happen. But without God, we can't manifest anything. He does the manifestation. We are just his vessels doing whatever it is that he wants us to do, how he wants us to do it. I say all the time, Lord, you are the founder and CEO. We are the managers of this business. Holy Spirit's the COO and the chief financial officer. We the managers. You tell us what to do and how to do it, because too many times we've ended up in situations in our businesses where the man was too big for us to handle. But once we have learned how to come together, he'll come and say, baby, I need you to pray. And I'm a prayer warrior. I will go in. I will go hard. I will bind the demons. I send them back where they belong. They don't have no power. We are citizens of the kingdom of heaven. We are ambassadors of the kingdom of heaven. You have no right here. And these deals are coming through in Jesus' name. As a matter of fact, they've already come. We are sitting there waiting for the manifestation of God to allow them to produce themselves here on the earth in the natural. And so in those times when he is in that space and he is having that battle, he knows that I have his back. And the same thing vice versa. Because I get it a lot too. It comes up on me often. And my industry I'm in, I'm dealing with a lot of people, and the people in my industry are super emotional. And I had to learn how not to act out of my emotions and say things out of my emotions. And Curtis helped me to balance that. These are all the signs of how a power couple works.
Yeah,
he helped me in the area where I'm weak. He is strong, and where he is strong and I'm weak, we balance each other out. And that's how God meant for it to be. That's why it's important for you to make sure that before you marry somebody, Lord, I need you to show up, let me know that this is the person I'm supposed to be with. Because just like you said, I started to sound like Kurt. Kurt don't sound like Kinah. I sound like my husband. And so everything that he pours on the inside of me, it starts to take place, and it's like a whirlwind. I can't even really describe what God has really put in it. He is super gifted. And now his gifting's done spilled over here, and he just be looking at me like, whoa, what in the world is that? Wow, that to me is the ultimate success. Not money. That's good. That's great. But the ultimate success is for you to be able to see what's on the inside of your spouse and know that you played a part in fulfilling their dream and their goal, what God has given them to do on the earth.
That was an amazing.
That was amazing.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Curtis, I don't need to ask you nothing about that. She covered it all. So
She did it.
So technically, we did hear from you.
Technically.
That's right.
So that's amazing. So how, Kinah, your brand, how can it be a blessing to others?
Wow, my brand, how can it be a blessing to others? Well, I'm going to tell you this. I've changed how I've been operating in my business. Curtis has really helped to elevate my mind in the business arena. And what I've been able to do is teach others how to have multiple streams of income by way of government contracting. So I got into the government contracting space as a beauty industry professional, didn't even know this thing existed, never heard anybody in my industry doing it. And I'm going to tell you something. Now I am teaching others who are in my industry how to create several streams of income by doing other things outside of the industry, but bringing them into our industry as well. So really, breaking some barriers, changing the game. There's some new things that we've ventured off into, which I won't talk about it right now because we haven't mentioned it. But one thing about me, once I get something down pat and I've created the formula, then I go back and I teach others in my industry how to do the same thing. So I'm not a stingy person. So education for me is everything.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well,
Awesome.
Curtis, how do you advance the kingdom through your marriage?
That looks different for me today. I used to think that it was making a bunch of money and giving it to your church and supporting other philanthropic causes. Today, it is being more of a representation, a duplicator of duplicators. So one of the things Kinah and I are now trying to do is duplicate other entrepreneurs with a very faith-based perspective. Seeing the synergy of how you take influence and the kingdom of God and push it into the atmosphere. I recognize that a lot of people I touch in the business world and may never ever find themselves in the four walls of a church. It's just not. But God has given me influence. I went to the White House last year. A lot of great things has happened in my life, but it's given me influence, and now I can be an example of God to these very powerful people. And so literally when they need prayer, they call me. Literally when they need someone to talk to and counsel them, they'll call me. Because some of these times, a lot of times, especially in the business world, a lot of times because of what's happened in the church, a lot of people don't trust the pastor anymore. So now when you got someone who walks and exudes the power in God, they may not know what it is, but they say things like you're different, or you're gifted, or you're talented, or there's something different about you. That's just the remnants of the Holy Spirit. So now it has allowed me to reach a lot of the unreachable because they had money, they have fame, they have success. I got ball players in my phone that call me and say, hey, I just need to get some wisdom from you. I got other entrepreneurs that call me that many would say they ain't got no relationship with God, but on the back end, God has allowed me to have a crevice into their life. And I'm able to speak to them and impart to them when other people can't. So what marketplace ministry looks like for me is different. It's now taking the influence, the wealth, the influence God has given me and being a demonstration of God to them. Not judging them, but walking this thing out in front of them. And when you start making a certain amount of money, they start asking you, what are you doing? Because they want to know. You done tapped into a system that I don't know nothing about. So now they become students. Right. And now the wealth, the influence, the invitations now bring them in, and they want them to be students. Show me what you're doing. Because obviously you tapped into something I don't know nothing about. And it creates a ministry to it, and now people are getting saved. May never go to church, but now building relationship, reading their Bible, doing Bible plans on the Bible app. I'm sending them plans and they doing them with me. I seen they checked off, they read today. That's what ministry looks like to me.
That's good.
Because I think when we get to heaven, we're going to be surprised of some of the people that are there and those that are not. Right. And it's our job in the marketplace to now start leading these people to Christ. The Bible is very clear about don't forsake the assembling of yourselves. Right. But we created so much dysfunction in the body. Who goes to get those people? When less than 3% of society will ever stand up in a pulpit and say, thus saith the Lord. They're a pastor, prophet, evangelist, pastor, teacher. Less than 3%. And we already know everybody don't go to church. So what happens to the rest? Who gets them? And so that's what we believe me and Kinah's place in the earth is to dominate in our area of influence. You cannot separate business, education, and government. Those three areas are the arteries to a city, just like the heart is what fuels the body. So when you start rising to the top of those mountains, business, education, and government, you start seeing correlation. And now you start playing in different realms. And when I start playing in those realms, that gives me influence. So now I can talk to the politicians. I can talk to the business people. I can get involved in the school board and now affect policy and really turn this world upside down.
Amen. Affect policy.
Affect policy.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
I told you he was a preacher, didn't I?
Yes.
Amen.
My kitchen. Amen.
Powerful. What give me some a couple of success keys Curtis. We talked about success the other day. Give me a couple of success keys.
Well, one of the things I've really been walking people through is the power of their imagination. And I think we have allowed the New Agers and the witches to take this concept, which was initially intended for the church. And I'm reminded of Joshua 1:8. I talked about the scripture earlier about meditation. One of the words for meditation is imagination. And if you look at the story of the children in the Tower of Babel, they were building this tower that was going to reach to heaven. And that scripture really grabs me and it really speaks to me, because the thing that's important in there, the Bible talks about how God came down from heaven to see this temple they had built. But if you read the passage, they hadn't even started. But they had already built this temple on the inside. On the canvas of their imagination, this temple was built. And because it was built on the inside, God thought it was already a finished work. So they started building the temple. It ain't got the attention of heaven. And God could have did anything he wanted to stop this project, but he confounded their language and left their imagination intact. Because that's how he designed us to work. So when we get a plan from heaven, our job is to pull it down and now create a picture on the canvas of our imagination. So what you said, well, Kurt, how would you do that? When I was contemplating entrepreneurship, and I talked about the gentleman who showed up in my life, one of the things he taught me to do, which is what I did, I took 5 or 10 minutes every day, and I started seeing myself in my future. I was still working for the Space and Naval Warfare Systems Center. I was a DoD GS-14 equivalent employee, still at work. But I would take 5 or 10 minutes every night before I go to bed, get on my couch. I seen the scriptures in the Bible that says it was God's will for me to prosper. I seen the scriptures in the Bible. It talked about he would bless my basket in my store. I seen the scriptures in the Bible. He said, whatever I set my hand to, I would prosper. So I had a biblical foundation. So now that I've established a biblical foundation, I started taking time seeing myself in my future. I would sit time every night and visualize, look on my couch, look up at the ceiling, close my eyes, and see myself walk out my house. See myself turn the key, get in the car. And I would literally start getting it to the point where it got to be a movie. So it stopped just being this abstract thing, and I started seeing movies play out on the inside of me. I continued that practice. I saw myself eventually in my office, standing in front of this auditorium of employees, giving them the plan for the day and giving them the team calls, that call to action. And I literally saw that thing manifest before my eyes. Wow. So that's what I'm teaching people today, is how to live in your future. If you're in the real estate, start seeing yourself. You ain't got $1 in your pocket. Start seeing yourself developing multi-million-dollar properties. That is the key that God has given us. See, when we dream, it's so crazy. You have a horror story or a dream. You watch a bad movie. You go to sleep. You wake up. You wake up. You're panting. You had this bad dream. You were being chased, or you fell off the cliff, or whatever happened, and you wake up in a cold sweat. Well, your body doesn't know the difference between that imagination, we call it a dream, and reality. So our body, our senses, our body responded, palm sweating, head sweating, panting. So if you learn how to trick yourself into your future, you can pull your future into your present. Yeah. So that's what I'm teaching people today, how to pull their future into their present by using a biblical-based principle of imagination.
Yes.
My God.
Yes.
Powerful. Powerful. Woo, listen, guys, I want you to stay with us because we got an awesome power couple. I want you to watch this clip. We're going to talk about this clip and go into some things that you can get from them and keep up with them and allow them to mentor you, to teach you some things that they are doing right now. Watch this.
So God will put a grace on your life with abilities for new ventures. And so I remember telling someone this one day, and they was like, what? And so I gave them a scripture. So as you guys are getting ready to pursue various levels of entrepreneurship, I need you to lean on him. 31:1. I'm going to read this from the English Standard Version because I don't have all those thous and shouts, and it's just easy to understand. So it says, the Lord said to Moses, see, I have called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri, son of Ur, of the tribes of Judah. and I have filled him with the Spirit of God, with ability and intelligence, with knowledge and all craftsmanship, to devise artistic designs, to work in gold, silver, and bronze, in cutting of stones and setting. I just read a piece of that, but what I want y'all to see was Bazalel didn't know how to do the things that God literally graced him to do. God literally bestowed that upon him. And if you go and you read the Old Testament, you'll learn about he equipped certain people to be stone workers. These folks did not have these abilities before God did this for them. Then we can look at the life of Noah. Noah was a farmer, y'all.
Right.
And so I wrote down the dimensions. Noah was a farmer. You can find that in Genesis 9 and 20 and 23. The Bible says Noah was a farmer. This boy ain't know nothing about no building, about carpentry.
Right.
So just like God was able to give these guys supernatural ability, so can he you. So what I'm telling you is don't let your ability or lack thereof, because sometimes ability, too much ability can be a hindrance too, by the way, y'all. So I know you said, well, how is that possible? Because sometimes you feel like you don't need him and you could do it on your own. Mistake number one. So do not let ability or lack of ability be a stumbling point in your life.
Powerful. So I want to talk about both of you. I know you have some coaching and consulting platforms. Talk about those platforms where people can get in touch with you, as well as glean from you from your mentorship and coaching courses.
Awesome. So Keen and I both have launched platforms. My platform is on a system called Kajabi. So a lot of folks know me in the government contracting world. I got an invitation to the White House last year to talk about the expansion of opportunities for minorities in that space. So that was a tremendous honor. So what I realized is that, I didn't realize I'd been doing this for 25 years, TC. My mom is the benefit, is the reason why I'm even here. And at high school, she wanted to get her son wanted to be an engineer. And so that put me on this path. So now with 25 years of both working as a contractor and as a government employee, I did work for the government employee for a stint. I'm now showing people how to tap into that multi-trillion-dollar space that we call government contracting. The federal government is the largest buyer, period, on the planet, buying things from landscaping all the way to hair products and everything in between. I have a friend who does about $30 million a year cutting grass. So on my platform, which if you hit my Instagram is actually on the screen. If you click the link tree in there, you'll see how to take classes from me. I've also partnered with the GovCon Club, and we're now starting to do mentorship for people specifically around government contracting, but mainly just entrepreneurs in general. So those are a couple ways. People, you can also follow me on Clubhouse. Type my name in, first name, last name. And Kinah and I have a club on Clubhouse called the Wealth Accelerator, and we do a variety of rooms to teach people how to create as well as accumulate wealth. These are all free. And then, of course, if you want to tap in with us on an individual basis, you can do that. Kinah, you want to tell them about some of your stuff?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Again, Curtis, like he explained it, we have two. We both have different things that we teach. I teach the government contracting for beauty industry professionals on my particular platform, and I also teach salon business and retail strategies as well for cosmetologists, barbers, nail technicians, and makeup artists. And you guys can definitely follow us on Clubhouse, follow us around the club, because we are always doing rooms and bringing information to the table. Though that's one of the resources and ways that you guys can follow us. You guys can also follow us on our social medias, as well as our websites, and all of our information, of course, you can find on our Instagram pages. I am the Retail Boss, and Curtis is C. Merriweather Jr. So if you guys would like to link up with us and, slide in our DMs and,
Absolutely.
Ask us some questions. We do have these other platforms where we're always, giving free information. But when it comes to the one-on-ones and mentorship, we do those things as well. But we always try to push people to join us in those areas so that, you can start growing and get to a point to where you're ready for the next level.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
wow. I love that. Retail boss. I love that. So what is your vision as a black woman in your business? What is your vision?
Oh, wow. My vision for a black woman in my industry, in the things that I do, I literally am in a space now to where I want to just dominate. I want to dominate strongly in specific areas that are, you don't see a lot of us dominating in. And I have an uncle who is he got started in food service, and him and his wife, now they own several McDonald's. His wife actually works for McDonald's corporate offices. So when I sit back and I think about him and his wife and the things that he's done just in the Atlanta area and all the stores and things like that he has, this next level for me is to do that same thing, and God just kind of put us in position to where we were able to get that information and understand what we were getting ready to walk into. And it's so God ordained. How everything panned out and how it all worked out, it just all flowed and it all made sense, and it lined up with my purpose. You see what I'm saying? And my purpose is to definitely, like Curtis said, we want to raise up kingdom driven entrepreneurs. And we can't do any of this without God. So to be able to sit back and tell the story of how I became a franchise owner and how I've been able to dominate these different areas. And if we think about it anyway, from the spiritual perspective, here I go. When you think about it from the spiritual perspective, we as ambassadors of the kingdom of heaven are supposed to dominate. Right. And we are all called to a specific region.
A realm.
In a realm, right? In a specific realm. That's right. And so for us, we now understand right now in this time where that region is. And I know that this is just a starting point from on the East Coast end. And, and to continue to just empower women, empower our Black communities. It's time for us to start taking over and building up our communities, bringing our money together, investing together, building these relationships to where, we could trust each other. We could pray together, seek God as a collective. Yes. So we are always looking for other, power couples who serve God and put God first, that we can definitely build relationships with. That's what it's about in this day and time. We cannot just do it by ourselves. And for so long, there's so many of us have tried to just be what they call in Charleston, South Carolina, onesie, tried to be so onesie and do everything on their own, and not realizing and understanding that we need a community of people who look like us to be able to dominate and take over. We've done it before. We can do it again. We got that same power on the inside of us, and to now bring it together in a kingdom perspective. God said it's already done. It's up to you to see it, like Curtis said, to see it on the inside of you and learn how to really operate and live our lives and our business from the inside out. That's the perspective where I'm bringing it from. And so I'm not out here, a lot of people, they want their name in lights and looking for the fame and fortune. There's a whole lot that comes with that. I'm not looking for that. However, the scriptures do say that he will make our name great, So, I'm just allowing God to use us how he would see fit here on the earth, bringing his kingdom here on the earth, fulfilling that purpose. And it has to be an ongoing cycle. So we have to be able to raise other people up that, we can help take to the next level as well. And that's the vision that God has given us. But as a woman, I'm trying to definitely make a mark. But when I open my mouth, people are going to hear kingdom. I don't want people to hear Kinah. Yes. I want people to hear kingdom. Because I am God's representation. And even with that being said, we have to be so careful, how people see us. And how people view us in terms of how we work together, how we operate with other couples, like all that backbiting and fussing and fighting and all those things. COVID came through to shut a whole lot of mess down that was going on in the Christian community. So now God is looking for people who are not afraid to speak his name, who are not afraid to speak on the kingdom of God and all of its righteousness and what it stands for. So as Black millionaires, billionaires, and trillionaires, we got to learn to make sure that we keep God's name before. I didn't do this. This business isn't mine. I didn't do any of this. God did this. This was his strategy, not mine. Right. But he allowed it to download on the inside of me so I can now turn around and teach it to you. So that's where That's where we're coming from. I know I was long-winded with that. I apologize. You got me going.
Good stuff.
Yes.
This is awesome.
Now, tell us about this is the cap of the night. Tell us about the franchise.
You know, Clubhouse has been amazing to me. I actually met you on Clubhouse, my brother TC. I met a young lady. I was in a room one day, and I do a lot of traveling. Of course, not a lot as a result of COVID, but I remember being on the airplanes, and you always see these magazines where franchise. You got the couple there smiling, talking about contact them, and we could teach you how to do franchising.
Right.
So I always was interested, but didn't really know how to get started, and never took that step to learn. If we're just being honest, I'm doing pretty good in the government contracting world, so all right, good. But I was on Clubhouse one day, and this girl who looked like me, named Tamika, was on stage, and I knew the room. So if you know anything about Clubhouse, if you got a little bit of influence, soon you're going to they pull you up on stage. So I got on stage, and I started asking her a series of questions, and she was able to answer them. So I went into her direct message. I told her I gotta go. I just came in this room because I saw the title of the room. I sent her a direct message and asked her, could I get on her schedule? A couple of weeks went by. I was very honest, saying my schedule's crazy. Give me 2 weeks when I'm gonna call you. And I called her, and we had a conversation. And at first I was like, man, I don't know, but I still felt this push, like this is the next. You need to do this. So I stayed with it. We looked at a few concepts. She helped us understand, the pros and cons of models, helped me understand how to evaluate franchises. It was a tremendous learning experience. I'm going to do it again. But, long story short, we found something that allowed Kinah and I to leverage what it is she do in the beauty space and leverage what I do. I'm the behind the scenes execution strategy. Right. That's my thing. That's my stuff. Kinah's the pretty face we're going to put out front. She's very smart, but I do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. She's going to make sure she's going to make sure everybody feels the way, create the user experience. I'm going to make sure we get paid and all the back end stuff.
Right.
So she's front office, I'm back office. And we found this concept, and we had a meeting, they call it a validation call, right?
Yes.
So we had a validation call recently. That's where you meet other franchise owners in this concept. We can't tell the name yet, but the first one will be coming open that fall 2021 in a city near you. And but we got Atlanta is coming. Atlanta is 2022, and the one in North Carolina in 2021. But we got on the call, met the owners, met the entire leadership team. We put in our package because you got to put your resumes in. So it's a whole process. Mm-hmm. And they came back and gave us unanimous approval.
Wow.
And we felt the leading of God to pursue 10 locations. They threw in 11. The 11th is a resale. We're buying it for below cost. And we normally have a 5-year development plan. We have 7 years in Atlanta, Alpharetta, Augusta. We're not saying who it is. Okay. Charleston and Charlotte. So you're not supposed to. Those are some heavy territories.
We gonna plant one in Detroit too as well. But tell us about. Absolutely. Tell us about when you started from where you were to where you are now. Did you see 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 location franchise all over the U.S.?
I didn't at first, but it was on that call with the team, and I wrote on my notes. Kinah was like, "What are you writing?" I wrote 10 by 10. Wow. God, literally on that call, God gave me a concept. I'm going to create 10 different franchises, or I'm going to buy into 10 different franchises, 10 locations, 100 companies in a 10-year period. And God gave me the concept of how to do it. And I actually think this franchise, we're actually going to end up buying more because the numbers were amazing. They were profiting. And we evaluated 3 different. We looked at a food concept, a beauty concept, and a cleaning concept. And the beauty concept stood head and shoulders above everybody else. I mean, it's a great business.
So you go from selling hair to the government. to having 10, 11, 12, 20 franchises. Now, if that ain't God and this is not a power couple, I don't know what is. When you come together as one, as a kingdom power couple, look at what God can do.
Yes.
It's not about competition. It's not about he against her. It's not about any of that. Come together, purpose, and making sure you push one another, and that paper is going to come.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's powerful. That's powerful. You have any last words, baby?
No, I'm just excited just to be a part of this. I'm excited that we're able to get this out so people can hear what a real power couple represents and stands for. So I'm just excited.
Yeah, I told her today we're gonna have a salon and therapy while you getting your weave done. You're gonna get some therapy and coaching because they do it anyway in the salon. So you're gonna have a licensed therapist and a licensed coach, in the salon getting it done and put the two together. So we talking about that. So we talk about that offline.
Love it.
But please give us some last words before we end. And we got to do this again. We got some other things to talk about, me and you, Curtis, about business and the things that we have going on in the commodity space. I'm quiet about some things for a reason, but you told me we got to come forward with some things. And so we got to do this again. But before we end, I want you to just minister to the people, the both of you, about how to come together and what God will do when you do that.
Oh man, that is so key. And I think we have to put ourselves out the way and find what is the purpose and plan of God. For those that are single, be more deliberate in your dating process. And for those that are married, figure out how to get on one accord. I get a lot of entrepreneurs who come to me and say, "Man, I want to start my business and I want to do this and that, but my wife ain't on board." And I said, "Brother, let me stop you. If you're not able to convince your wife to get on board, who loves you, who cares for you, hopefully has a vested interest in your success, how are you supposed to convince the banker, the employees, and all these other relevant stakeholders that you need to get involved in the vision? You have to first be able to sell this thing to your wife and to your family. If you can convince them, it's going to be much easier to convince them." And you find a lot of couples who want to be entrepreneurs and they're just not supporting one another. At some point, we have to get on one accord. We have to stop allowing ego and pride to dominate situations, because two is better than one. And the Bible says a threefold cord is not easily broken. I'm working on a PhD, and so I took a class back in, I think, a couple semesters ago called Complex Systems. And in that class, one of the big takeaways was that two individuals, when you have a complex system, the collective gives way more output than those two individual pieces. So I need you to see your relationship as a complex system. Standing alone, you're only going to be so much. But when you combine those forces collectively, you're going to create 5, 10, 20 times what you would have had you not figured out how to get on the same page and get on one vision. And there's power in unity. That's why partnerships are so strong. I need you to look at, a lot of times we look at business as business and marriage as marriage, but I need you to look at your marriage as a type of business. And very much like business, very easy to get in, hard to get out. But if you get the right team in place, we're argument each other's, we're complementing each other's strengths and weaknesses. Where when I'm weak, Kinah's strong. And where Kinah's strong, I may be weak. When we put that combined force together, and I need you to look at your relationship like that. When we combine those forces and we put together something that eliminates the weakness and we move forward, there's power, there's magic that happens in that situation. So a lot of times our first business partnership is our marriage relationship. That wife may not be in the business, but you going home and you're telling her problems, she's maybe helping you strategize. I need you to look at this as a collective unit, a collective force designed to push you into your wealthy place. Two is always better than one.
Amen. And I would just like to add, in terms of closing this out, is to make sure that you have a couple, someone to mentor you, whether it's your spiritual parents, your pastors, I know we have spiritual parents, and when I think about them and their relationship and how how they operate, I feel like that's very important for you to make sure that you have a couple that's a model for you, that you have, that you can look to, and also that you can go to, because as entrepreneurs and as a couple, and we are both entrepreneurs, and how we move and how we operate is very different. It's, of course, it's God ordained, but it's very different in how we have to move and operate. And we never operate out of our own mindset. We always try to make sure that we go with what God's concepts are, and how we do that and tap into that is through our spiritual gifts. And I know that with our spiritual parents were able to just kind of walk us through how to do that. And, we recognize what our gifts were, but we needed those gifts to be cultivated so we can understand, like, why am I able to dream? I'm a dreamer. I see. My husband, he can hear. How do we use what God has given us together, when we are mentoring, other couples, and when we are having consultations with, other business owners, and they're coming to us for advice and for help. So we don't lean to our own understanding, but we lean to God's understanding. And through that, he uses the gifts that's only inside of us, that are stirred up and that are active, to be able to give the strategies, to be able to, give the advice, to be able to push other couples forward. So make sure that you all have someone that you can go to, that can mentor you from an area that is totally biased, and that they are led by the Spirit of God.
You said something that stirred me. Oftentimes we think of the apostle, the prophet, the evangelist, the pastor, and the teacher just within the four walls of ministry. But you can be apostolic serial entrepreneur. You can be prophetic. That's the vision caster in the company. You can be evangelistic, meaning you may be in the media space. Oftentimes we think that it's just limited to the church. And the Bible goes and talks about the area of administration. Bible talks about the gift of giving. So I need people to understand that although you may not be called to the four walls of a church, you may still have some of those giftings manifest. What does a teacher look like? Well, that's the obvious one. You might be a teacher. Maybe you're a coach. Maybe you're a mentor. Pastor, you might be a school principal or superintendent. Evangelist might be a news anchor. You're spreading a gospel, or you're spreading something. That you have the prophetic. This may be the visionary. This might be the CEO of the company. You might be apostolic. This might be the serial entrepreneur who has multiple, opening up the ground, creating new visions, doing like an ox. He's treading out new territory. So I think oftentimes we think those giftings and those administrations are just in the church. I'm not saying you're a pastor. I'm not saying you're a prophet. I'm not saying you're an evangelist. I'm not saying you're a teacher, but you can operate in a realm of that in these different mountains, whether it's education, whether it's business, whether it's government, whether it's religion, whether it's all these different 7 arts and entertainment. There are 7 spheres of society. All of us can't be called to the church. So oftentimes you may have a gift and a talent that can be used in a different area. Like we're called to the business mountain. What I need people to realize is you start climbing those mountains, you start intersecting in other areas. You start getting influence in education, even though you may not be on the education mountain. You might have influence on the government mountain, even though you may not be involved in government. But I get influence these people, now I can start shaping and shifting policy and administration.
Yes, amen. That was awesome. Wow.
It's true.
I'm about to give you an offering right now, because you say you ain't in the 4 walls of the church, but we gonna raise an offering right now. I need to go to. But thank you guys so much for spending time with us. I know you're crazy busy, and I've had Curtis. I had a couple calls coming in from the business that we're doing, so I know we're crazy busy. But thank you for taking the time out to pour in the people tonight, and we're way over time, but everything was for the people tonight, and I hope something was said or done to help you help the people tonight. Baby, understand?
No, I'm all set.
She been talking to counseling all day long. She don't want to talk to me. But I thank you guys. But please do me a favor. One of you pray us out. and we're going to close out. And listen, guys, we will see you next week. I have a powerful young lady that will be with us next week, Denise Williams. And let me tell you, she owns the largest black woman-owned brokerage in Atlanta. Listen, you want to be here with us next Thursday. She's a powerhouse, and I'm going to ask her questions about real estate and about black women in business and how people are taking over down here in Atlanta. Listen, you want to be with us next week at 8 o'clock on Thursday. Take it away, guys.
All right. Well, we just want to pray. And for the people that's under the sound of our voice tonight, we want to pray for all the entrepreneurs. We believe that you're going to come into your wealthy place. We believe that everything you set your hand to, we believe it's going to prosper. We thank you, Father, that creative ideas and witty inventions are going to be to start flowing and stirring on the inside of you. We believe that every place you go, the angels of God are encamped around about you, and that goodness and mercy will follow you all the days of our lives. We speak to every satanic womb and incubator, and we decree its satanic abortions and miscarriages in the name of Jesus. We say that every crooked place in your life will be made straight. We decree and declare that your basket will be full. You'll be the head and not the tail, above and not beneath. Real estate deals and strategic alignments and partnerships, management teams. We decree and declare that you will manifest. We decree and declare that their hearts belong to you, and you will allow them to download creative ideas and insights to change product ideas and servicing concepts for the advancement and upbuilding of the kingdom, so that not only will their financial personal needs be met, but they'll become a distribution center for you in the earth. Lord, help them tap into their God-given potential and understand what their role is in society for the upbuilding of the kingdom and for the community. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Are you suffering from fear and anxiety? The Allen Counseling Clinic is here to help. Our goal is to help you grow from your struggles, heal from your pain, overcome your fears, and get the relief from your anxiety. Call now, area code 424-295-6227. Telehealth is now available.
Kid old enough for money but too young to deal with a checking account? Oh, and you don't really want to deal with cash? You need the Cube Kid Card. Reload right from your bank account, set parameters, and spend just like a normal debit card. If the card is lost, no problem. Without the app, the balance is zero. Get yours at cubemoney.io.
Hey, family, it's yours truly, Dr. Eddie. Listen, it's official, like a referee with a whistle. My new book, Relationship Rules, is everywhere, y'all. And I'm empowering you to build healthy relationships, but also purposeful partnerships. You can do that. I want to show you how to do that simply by going to Amazon. Go to Barnes & Noble. Go to dreddieacademy.com/book to get a signed copy. I'm empowering you to win in the areas of love, leadership, and leveraging your purpose. It's all about the book, Relationship Rules, because relationship rules.
Start flipping assets. What are the best assets to flip? Needless to say, residential real estate. You focus on the market, find the values, find the opportunities to get properties below market. You got credit lines, you got some savings, use it. Get a property below value, flip it as quickly as you can, right after you rehab it, any way you can. That's going to build your cash reserves. As soon as you flip properties, the next step, learn how to reduce taxes. There are ways to use structures and jurisdictions like what I've done with Puerto Rico to reduce your taxes tremendously. That's going to be the biggest push in your life. It's going to lead you into the next step, which is going to be buy and hold. That's when you get properties at market value or slightly below, bring in a tenant, increase the value. That's going to take you to another level completely, because now you're holding for income stream. All your work has residual value. Your life takes another level.